We got a jam-packed show today. March Madness is here. We're going to look at the bracket. We're going to talk about it with a special guest. Sixers Heat. Once I think I'm out, they pull me back in. Kai Jones, very interesting interview with Shams. We're going to discuss that as well. Eagles, Phillies, anything anybody wants to talk about. Trending in the AM with your thoughts and opinions live in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We are live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You know the drill. Like, share, subscribe, retweet, follow, all those good things. Wherever you are watching, get interactive and get sharing this show. As we've got a jam-packed episode and a lot to get through today. I am your host, Phil Stiefel. You can find me on all social media platforms at Beard and Knowledge. Well, as we said yesterday, Scruff of Knowledge, but it's at Beard of Knowledge still. And we do. We got lots going on today on the agenda. Sixers with a really big win last night against the Heat. A little bit of a Joel Embiid sighting on the sideline, so that's got everybody excited. Phillies are on the agenda. The Eagles are on the agenda. I love the Kai Jones interview with Shams. I want to talk about that. But we're going to kick off the show today talking March Madness. It is that time of year. I am no March Madness expert at all by any means anymore. What is up, Mitchie Poo? Good morning to you, my man. So I had to go out and I had to find somebody to come on this show to talk March Madness. And after some instant research, joining me on the I Have No Sponsor hotline is my new best friend, Michael Huffer. You guys can find him on all social media at Michael_Huffer. Good morning, Michael. Well, you just muted yourself real quick there. Hope you're doing well.
My wife's alarm was going off, so I wanted to get it up, get it going.
Always the wife's fault whenever there's a problem.
Yeah, we'll blame her.
I've been doing this far too long. I blame the wives and the dogs for every issue I've ever had.
Yeah, absolutely. Phil, thanks for having me on. Just needed a quick 2-minute drill while I hop on here. And just something had to happen, right, with technology.
Of course. And you can find Michael. He hosts, he's part of the Pump Fake Pod. On Twitter, it's at Pump Fake Pod, and YouTube, I linked it in the description. Guys, make sure you check them out. Michael, it is March Madness season. You're a big college football or college basketball guy. I've seen your record on online for your betting this year. It's always an exciting time of the year, and I won't be afraid to admit, for 2 years now, hosting this morning show, certain things have had to take a back seat. College basketball is not my forte anymore. But before we get into the bracket itself, what would be your quickest way to describe this season in college basketball and how it went so far?
Yeah, it's going to be parity, right? I think we're seeing less Power 5 teams and more of those mid-major teams with the transfer portal, right? So you're seeing teams in the last few years even as a top 5 seed in the tournament, but they could have 13 losses, right? And now with these non-conference schedules getting a little easier and these the Big Ten, the SEC, the Big 12, they're becoming these powerhouses again, and they're going to just keep buying more people, buying more teams, right? So we're going to see your non-conference schedule kind of bleed into that conference schedule because they have those quad 1 wins and quad 1 teams to fight for. But amongst that, like teams like James Madison beating Michigan State earlier in the year, now they're matched up with Wisconsin. So tons of teams that you might not think about that are actually maybe a better team than these Big Ten teams, Big East teams that got left out of the tournament as well.
Right. So the 4 number 1 seeds in the bracket this year. You got UConn, obviously, defending champions. You got Houston, you've got North Carolina, and you got Purdue. Did the bracket masters, the key holders of the creation of this thing every year, did they get the top 4 teams correct? And did UConn deserve the number one overall seed?
UConn definitely deserved, to answer your latter question, UConn deserved the number one seed. They've been at tip top shape since the beginning of the year. They've showed no blunders whatsoever. They maybe aren't the best against the spread just because they always have high numbers, 13, 14 against teams that can easily backdoor that. But for UConn being the number one seed, it's absolutely the truth. Dan Hurley's got those guys rocking, and they are in the toughest bracket in my opinion out of the regions, but they are for sure the number one overall seed. And yeah, Houston absolutely too, even with their loss to Iowa State in the Big 12 championship, they've been dominant. Their first year in the Big 12, and they're beating up on all these Big 12 teams and blue bloods like Kansas and taking their lunch money. So yeah, I think Houston absolutely, Purdue for sure. The Big Ten was a little down this year, but we all know the story of Purdue last year, losing to Fairleigh Dickinson. They got to rewrite their story, and that's why Zach Edey came back, and they have the best player in the national collegiate game in Zach Edey, and they've added a couple pieces on the transfer portal, such as Lance Jones from Southern Illinois. So this team has a little redemption arc for the number one seed. The only one that's in question is that final one, North Carolina. There was some talks of Iowa State after beating Houston to go into the number one seed. As much as I'm not an ACC guy, so I don't like North Carolina and Duke. I do think they deserve it. One of them does, and it was North Carolina. They were by far the best team in the ACC, even if Iowa State got it done in Houston. I still think the committee got it right. I would like to see 4 different conferences in a 1 seed versus 2 in the Big 12 for sure. So give Iowa State number 2, but yeah, I think they got it right, actually.
I'm a big gambling guy. I'm a degenerate. I love to gamble. You love to gamble. We all, I mean, if you don't love to gamble, I mean, it's like so American. I don't know. I just love a degenerate. And when I looked at who got the number 1 seats and then I looked at the board, I haven't made my bet on who I'm going to, ride with yet this year. North Carolina being a 1 seat, but not on DraftKings as one of the top 4 favorites, gave me the theory that maybe that they were the one that didn't deserve the 1 in that aspect. The other team, it's Arizona, is the team ranked ahead of them odds wise on DraftKings right now. You said UConn's got probably the toughest of the 4 brackets. Is that, I mean, we always look for, when we're building our brackets, we look for that 4-13 or 5-12 matchup, those matchups that are going to break people's matchups. Is that why you think it's UConn has the toughest path, or is there just really good? I mean, in their bracket, they've got, they got Iowa State, they've got Washington State, Illinois, BYU. There's a lot of highly ranked teams in their bracket as well. Is it the upset that scares you on their side, or is it the, just the other teams, the other top teams in their bracket?
This is the most chalkiest region I would say that I have. I like to pick a 12 seed to go far. I did it with Furman last year. I like to pick those random teams in a bracket, but I just don't see it happening. I could see UAB upsetting San Diego State in this region. But if you look at the region, how it's breaking down, they might have to see Florida Atlantic as a second matchup. And then Florida Atlantic's still a great team. They've kind of had a letdown after a hot start of beating Arizona and a letdown in the American Athletic Conference. But they immediately got to go into Brooklyn and stay in Brooklyn, I should say, and maybe play FAU or a Northwestern team that's beaten top guys like Purdue. And then you're going to have to maybe see a Final Four rematch in San Diego State, which I don't think is going to happen. I actually have the chalk of UConn meeting Auburn, and I'm still undecided on this game as I'm filling out my bracket kind of methodically. I want to just fill out one. I used to fill out so many as a kid. It's not the same as since we started gambling. I want to fill out one and stick with it. But I like Auburn, and I'm really hoping to see UConn face that matchup in the Sweet 16. And yeah, you're right. You got Illinois. I mean, BYU is an underseeded team just for all the bubble teams that got knocked off thanks to Duquesne, UAB, and these random teams winning. So you're really seeing a 5 versus 12 matchup there based on how the seeding worked. And Duquesne is a 12, really. And then they got Illinois as well. And then the Washington State and Drake and Omaha, of all places. Omaha is going to be rocking if you see a Drake versus Iowa State second round matchup. So yeah, I think it's more so UConn, once they get to the Sweet 16 or Elite 8, they're going to be facing those top teams. And that's who I'm worried about just because these teams have done it before and can upset. So
All right. So, I mean, you talk a lot about chalk in that bracket there. What about the other brackets? Which 4, 5, 6 team do you see, or not 4, 5, 6 team? Which team in that 4, 5, 6 range across this bracket has the chance to be upset the most, but also the team that upsets them, that 12, 13, 14 seed, has the best chance to make that Everyone loves the Cinderella story this time of year. Who is going to be this year's Cinderella story, in your opinion?
Yeah, that's a really good question and something that I've broken down to. I guess it's what you depend on. Out of the West, I love the 11 seed in New Mexico. I don't like taking Mountain West teams. They did prove me wrong last year with San Diego State. And Mountain West, everyone's known about it because they have not been performing well historically in March Madness. So I do like New Mexico if they can get by Clemson to mark their way into the Sweet 16 as an 11. But if we want to go a little lower, currently, I'm deciding between the 12 seeds of James Madison and McNeese, and they are public, and public dogs don't bite so hard in March. But this McNeese team with Will Wade and James Madison, with all their transfers that they've received, and 30 wins, you can't discredit 30 wins regardless of the conference that you're in. Now they just got to get by an experienced program that are playing hot, such as Gonzaga and Wisconsin. But if they do, I really like that matchup. And if you look in the Midwest region, you could see a 12 versus 13 in McNeese State versus Samford Bulldogs. And Samford's been the another hot team, just shy of 30 wins. And you're facing a Kansas team that's banged up in Hunter Dickinson and McCuller, and their status is unknown. I think McCuller will play. Dickinson's up in the air. But if they're missing those pieces, you might see a Bill Self team have his worst team in 20 years, losing in the first round of Samford. So I'm rooting for that McNeese Samford 12 versus 13, and then they have the chance to spoil Purdue's a run in March again in the Sweet 16. So I like those teams on the bottom right. I'm looking at upsets the most on that right side of the bracket in the South and Midwest region. But, there's always going to be a couple in the West just based on how I think West is probably the worst region out of the four. So yeah, I like New
My man
Mexico.
K1's asking about Morehead State. I had a look because I wasn't sure who they are playing. It looks like they're playing Illinois. They're in that UConn bracket. I don't know. K1's a sarcastic SOB in my comment section every day. I don't know if that's a joke question or a real question, but we'll pretend it's a real question. Morehead State, do they have a chance round one?
It is. If I've actually had the pleasure to watch Morehead State, thanks to my wife letting me turn on ESPN Plus on a few TVs in the early season and watching these teams play. So and they got Drew Thelwell. Drew Thelwell is a dog. He can absolutely score and just put up points. So and you're looking at an Illinois team that's kind of gone flat in March. I mean, they just won the Big Ten tournament, but if you look back a couple years ago, they did the same thing and then almost lose to Chattanooga and then gets bounced in the round of 32. So I think Morehead can definitely cover the spread of 11 to 13 and a half, depending on the number that you got. I think it's down to 11, and it's going to be a battle. I don't think they get it done. I just think Illinois has got that star power in Coleman, Hawkins, and Terrence Shannon Jr. So, but yeah, Drew Thelwell's a dog. I think they cover the spread, just don't get it done. This was an upset I was looking for immediately, though, when the bracket got released. Like, okay, what 14 or 15 could I pick? And Morehead was one of the finals. So,
all right, so we keep talking about the odds and the lines and stuff like that. Look, I love the bet, but I'm also not a big better. Like I don't have huge units or anything like that to lay on these guys. UConn is clearly the betting favorite at plus 360. I tend to always look for a team in that 12 to 2,200 range to bet to be my team. Which odds are you looking at that are exciting, that entice you, that would make a casual college basketball fan place a good wager and have something to look forward to and maybe a chance at making some money?
yeah, it's a great question. And, I think last year you got the futures in UConn was around that number, plus 1,800, plus 1,500. And they were a 4 seed. So I would take a look at those numbers around the 3 and 4 seed. And, college basketball is a game of analytics. I'm not the biggest analytics guy, but when it comes to college basketball, I am, just because it matters. So if you look at that, if you've heard of that trapezoid of excellence or whatever, you got to be in the top 30 defensively and top 20 offensive efficiency numbers. So there's a few teams that get in there, right? The teams you expect: Houston, UConn, North Carolina, Purdue, Tennessee, Arizona's just out of there with their defensively. But look at Auburn. It's a team I really like that's been playing hot out of the SEC. They're going to have some good odds, regardless of their number at 4 at plus 1,700. If they can, all they have to do is just get by the top seed of plus 360. But I'm not taking plus 360 with UConn. There's just too many games. If you want to just lay a big number with them and spread, I'd highly recommend that. So I'm looking at Auburn at plus 1,700. I'm also looking at a random sprinkle of like a Gonzaga or New Mexico, not to win it, maybe not to win it all, but to reach the Elite Eight or to reach the Final Four, which you can get some good numbers out of there. And you're seeing more variance now of teams getting out of the Elite Eight, getting out of the Final Four, not depending on what seed you're in. So yeah, the trapezoid of excellence. Yeah, it's look it up. It's a weird number, but it's the top 20 teams that are in this trapezoid of being just right in that middle quadrant of efficiency and analytics. So, and I think Auburn fits that bill. So they're my favorite team and at the number of plus 1,700. And then yeah, I don't mind a sprinkle on like I said, Gonzaga, New Mexico to make the Final Four. Also a Kentucky to win the national championship. The problem is their defense lacks. They can put up 120 points.
I being that I'm so casual this year, I can never get behind a Kentucky team. I would just feel like dirty and icky rooting for Kentucky to cover my bet, just to get my bet. So we'll just ignore that one. They're going to now win because I said that the entire thing. I do want to ask, before I get your Final Four prediction, I want to ask you one question, something that's been irking me a lot the last couple of days, and that's the 7 teams that declined the NIT invites. It's something. It's part of the many reasons why I've lost interest in college sports in general, the NCAA, the way they handle things. But then you've got these teams and these coaches that are declining invites. It's not as exciting as March Madness bracket, but it is still something that is part of college basketball. It's still a good opportunity for these kids to get more practice, more games in, more exposure, maybe improve for next year. Where's your stance on this? Let's decline the NIT because we're upset that we did not get into the March Madness bracket.
It's the same thing as just a bowl game, right? I think you finish out a season. I'm one that's kind of like military. Like you start something, you got to finish it. Especially if you commit to it, right? And you commit to a season, you play 20-something games, 30-something games in a season. What makes you want to back out of? Especially if you're a top-ranked seed, you have a home game now, and maybe a chance to write this season off on a high note just because you got left out of a tournament. And there's some really good teams in this NIT, and you're going to see some upsets for sure because those teams in the Ivy League, those teams in a random Metro Athletic Conference, they're gonna be playing their hearts out compared to a Power 5 team that's like, all right, we're just showing up here to play in the NIT. I think it's shameful to just not want to play a game. And Tom Crean said it best. If you have guys that want to opt out because they want to play in the NBA, sure, by all means, suit up 7 to 8 guys and don't quit just because it's not the result that you wanted. The NIT used to be an actual cherished tournament and I'm from Indiana, so IU is a fan of IU. Mike Woodson, he won an NIT tournament in 1979, and then they go and deny the NIT tournament just because they didn't want to make the NCAA March Madness. It makes me question what's really going on in that locker room, and it comes down to coaching and athletic director decisions, in my opinion.
I wasn't surprised. The first name I saw, I don't think they were the first name to say it, but the first name that caught my eye was when St. John's, and I'm really anti-Pitino. Like, I just can't stand the guy. I just can't believe he's still coaching in college without as many things as he's done wrong. And when I heard his team did, I'm like, yeah, I'm not surprised. But you know what? You could have changed your legacy a little bit. You could have helped some of the people that feel negatively about you, like I do, by accepting that and not declining it. It kind of just gave me more room to not want to like college basketball a little bit.
Yep. And so, and Ricky P, man, he's had some crazy comments this year. So yeah, I was sad to not see St. John's in the tournament just because they're that random variance team that could pop off. But they've let me down so much. So it's like, all right, let's get this season over with and on to next year.
Were they the team out of the 7 that declined NIT invites that had the the best case or the best argument to be in the March Madness tournament?
St. John's, Ole Miss. I mean, IU was out of the tournament regardless, but they'd been a top 3 seed in the NIT for sure. So that bummed me out. But it is what it is. And there's going to be some great NIT games. It starts tonight. So, and they're on the home court, and they're getting away from Madison Square Garden now, and they're going to my hometown in Indianapolis and Hinkle Fieldhouse for the Final Four and championship games. So I'm going to try to catch those games on April 4th for sure.
Gotcha. All right, 2 more quick questions, and we got to wrap this up. I know you got to get to work here, Michael. My closest friend I host a golf podcast with on Tuesday nights. He's a Michigan State alum, and I know every single year the first thing he does is, where did Michigan State get slotted? They are a 9 seed against Mississippi State, and if they would win, they would then face probably North Carolina. Does Michigan State, for my man Jason, have any chance whatsoever for another Tom Izzo run?
Absolutely. I'm not as high on it as I was, like, let's say last year or a couple years, just to make the Sweet 16. But out of the draws of the 8-9, they got the best one, like we talked about. If they can get by Mississippi State, that game, by the way, is gonna be a gross pound you out the basketball, just maybe in the low 60s of Mississippi State, Michigan State. I will say this: I am blindly going to take the underdogs in the 8-9 matchup. There's like a 56-32 ATS in some type of last 8 years, whatever it is that number is. So I will be doing that, and Mississippi State is on that list. But it's not right to fade Tom Izzo in March, regardless of the team he has, and he's got some experienced guys in Tyson Walker and Aaron Hogard. So. These guys are going to be playing gritty, and we could see a blue blood matchup of North Carolina and Michigan State in the round of 32, which I think the NCAA is going to hope for. So I think I'm going to see Michigan State maybe get some calls going their way too, and somehow they get it done. They just find a way to win in March. So it'd be terrible to fade them. So for me to say, no, it's not going to happen, I can't, because I've seen it too many times regardless of their seed. And there's some stat, if they're the lower seeded team, Tom Izzo has like a 65% win percentage in March as a lower seeded team.
I like that. All right. I know you said you're not finished filling out your bracket yet. Where are you leaning your final 4 teams? Where do you think your final bracket will turn out with those final 4 teams?
Yeah, so I'm pretty close. We're getting there, right? And I'm gonna have my dog do a bracket too. I actually laid out 2 things last year, and the dog picked Connecticut to win. I'm not even joking. He got 3rd in this massive bracket pool, so he made more money than me last year. So he's the bracketologist. So I'll let you know his picks. But I'm really eyeing that Auburn-UConn matchup in the Sweet 16. I think Auburn can get out of this East region as my upset. They're not really upset as a 4 seed. But if they get by UConn and they see, let's say, an Iowa State, Illinois, or BYU, I think Auburn gets it done. They're a high-powered team. Bruce Pearl's been here before, so I like their chances to get out of this region and go to the Final Four, and maybe match up out of the Elite 8. Randomly, I got New Mexico and Alabama to get out of there, and Grand Canyon upsetting St. Mary's as well in Spokane. So. That's my real upset is New Mexico. I think whoever wins New Mexico or Clemson, they're going to beat Baylor in the round of 32 and have a good chance to get to the Elite 8. So I would sprinkle maybe on one of those futures. And yeah, I know Arizona's a favorite in that tournament, but I can't back Arizona. I've watched them play. They lack defensive motor, and you let USC beat you this year by like 15. That's so bad. So the one chalk pick that I like out of the Final Four is going to be Houston. I think Houston gets it done this year. They normally let me down in March, but I've been saying this since November, so I'm going to ride the train continuously, is that Houston will be in my Final Four. They're going to have to skate by. They kind of beat up these teams and play this street ball style that I love to watch. And Jamal Shedd and LJ Cryer are complete dogs, and hopefully they're angry after their absolute ass kicking from Iowa State in the Big 12. So to back them after that, But always winning and getting and losing in the conference championship is okay compared to maybe even winning, because you're kind of tired and have played 4 games in a row for some teams. So I like Houston out of the South region. And I do think Purdue can make a run to the Sweet 16 for sure. It's just now, where is the question of them getting out of there? So right now I'm deciding between Kentucky or Tennessee. I want 2 SEC teams out of this, an SEC and Big 12, to get out of this Midwest region. I don't like backing Rick Barnes in March, but also Calipari's kind of been a blunder as well. So Give me Tennessee out of that bottom region in the SEC so far. 2 SEC teams, a Big 12, and a random Mountain West team like we've seen last year. So I'm really eyeing the SEC and Big 12 though for conferences, just because of how tough they've played from top to bottom.
Gotcha. I know you got to get to work. We got Michael Huffer on Twitter, X at Michael_Huffer3, Pump Fake Pod. What do you got going on? Do you have a new show coming out this week? Any content coming out that you want to plug?
Yeah, we just released a bracket Spotify on our Spotify and Apple Music, all the podcast pages at the Pump Fake Pod. I do it with at Stooley Picks, Trevor, and at CBB Nick, some great guys I've met on Twitter. I've never met them in real life, but we love talking college basketball. And yeah, we're going to have a show definitely going over our March Madness bracket, even maybe an NIT show. And I'll be in Vegas this weekend for the first time as well. So I will be doing a live show there and doing some bracket recaps as well for heading into the round of 32 of the weekend.
Awesome. Much appreciated. I'm sure any information, they can find it right there on your social media pages, Michael Huffer, Michael_Huffer3. Michael, thank you very much for your time this morning. I greatly appreciate it.
Hey, Phil, thank you so much for having baby face knowledge versus the beard knowledge. So
well, the beard was like down here, and I accidentally shaved it all off on Sunday. It was a mistake I made with my clippers, so I had to fix it, and this is how I fixed my mistake.
Well, your scruff, I would pay money for that because this could take 2 weeks to grow. So. Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for your time. And I guess we're go Auburn here. I'm gonna go place a little shekel on Auburn after the show.
Let's do it. Let's go. I'll do it right now with you, and I'm down. Plus 1,700. Let's move
plus 1,700. I like it. Everybody, Michael Huffer, thank you very much. That was Michael Huffer on the I Have No Sponsor hotline. Let me reset that real quick, guys. Just a little March Madness talk here as we get set. I really don't have the hype. Like, I don't even have a bracket filled out. Like, even in the years where I was bare minimum into college basketball, I still filled out multiple brackets and would watch or listen to a couple shows and get an idea. I got no investment this year. Thanks to Michael. Now I'm going to invest into Auburn winning at plus 1,700. Why not? Sure. I'll trust the expert. Keep to the blackjack tables. Yeah, that would suck. I'm more invested emotionally in the story that these teams decline their NIT invitation. And as Michael said, the NIT and tournament used to be a very, very respectable, very, very important tournament. And it would lead to more things. And the fact that 7 teams have declined their NIT invites. You had Memphis, you had St. John's, Pittsburgh, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, and Indiana, and Syracuse, all declining their NIT invites. And of course, yes, like I said with Michael there, the Rick Pitino aspect of it doesn't surprise me. The guy's a scumbag. The guy's a scumbag. And I very rarely ever see him do anything or say anything that can change my opinions on him. And him and his team declining because they felt like they were robbed. Well, to me, it's, if you want to not get robbed, do more in your regular season to earn that bid to the March Madness. Win one more game. Do whatever it takes. I just really don't appreciate teams declining those invites. And he brought it up. It's similar to when guys don't play in bowl games or something like that. If the player wants to sit, that's fine, but the team should go still out there and do what they do. Why am I a grump? I'm not sure. Transfer portal wrecks fan commitment to college sports. That's true. You know what, actually, and I think this is a very interesting thing. The transfer portal did wreck it to an extent, forcing kids from high school to go play 1 year in college. Wrecked it because you get more and more one and dones. At least if they were just going to one and done, before they just go right to the pros, and then you would have more teams. But also, college basketball to me, K1, was a big part of my life. It was all the conference realignments, taking away rivalries. I remember back in the day, we're talking 10, 12 years ago, Mondays on ESPN were Big East Mondays. and you would have a triple header of back-to-back-to-back games. And the Big East was like getting 10, 12 teams in the March Madness tournament. And, it was exciting. And then teams start transferring and you got new rivalries, but not the same rivalries. And I remember it was like, the Big Ten or the Big East. It was the Big East, not the Big Ten. The Big East, you had Nova, UConn, Pitt. You had such a deep Big East. And being Villanova, being a Philadelphia team, I had a connection, to Nova. I lost a little bit of it then, but then as it continued to happen across other conferences, as it continued to happen with the transfer portal, as it happened with the rule changing on going to college for 1 year, my interest just started to wane every year more and more. I used to run at my pizza shop like a bracket challenge. I would fill out a bracket and I would offer free pizza to anybody that could submit a bracket that beats my bracket with a huge gift card to whoever had the best bracket. Now I don't even consider that anymore because I don't know and I have no interest. Like Thursday, you try to take off from work, and if I could, I'd have 3 TVs on, all with different games going. Now I might. I'll probably have the Valspar Championship on at the pizza shop, not March Madness. That's just where I'm at. That it just doesn't excite me as much. Are you shocked to learn Phil grumpy about that? Not grumpy. I just have no emotional investment. Like it just doesn't excite me anymore. Yeah, it's not grumpiness at all. It's just the sport needs to keep casuals hooked. They're not doing that. They're making it harder to stay hooked. Doesn't help that Philadelphia is not the college basketball powerhouse as it used to be. Is this the first time that Philadelphia doesn't have a team? No Nova, no Temple, no St. Joe's, nobody from Philly, no Drexel Dragons, none of them. Nobody from Philly's in it, and it makes it even harder. One and done is dumb. It is. I mean, high school kids most of the time are not ready to go right to the pros, and we're going to talk about that in a second because I really do want to talk about this Kai Jones interview with Shams. And if you guys haven't seen it, I recommend you listen to it. The clips are all over social media. But high school kids are not ready for the pros. I know that. But what it does is it forces them to go, and you don't get any of that team camaraderie. That's why you see more of the mid-major teams more exciting, maybe have a better chance in the tournament because they've been playing together for 2, 3, 4 years, and this is their moment to shine. There's no commitment to the university on a one and done. Never has been. And I've never been a fan of it since the day and as soon as they made that a rule that you had to go for 1 year, I forget what year it was. I know Lou Williams might have been in that last high school class. I want to say, I'm not sure. I knew it was going to be a downfall for college basketball. I really did. Conferences mean nothing anymore. They really do. I mean, you're really accurate. And the same thing's happening in football. All these teams changing conferences in college football as well. I stand by this when I say it. I think the NCAA is the most corrupt sports organization next to the Olympic Committee out there. And yeah, the NILs now letting these college kids make some money off their names and likenesses. It helps a little bit, but that might have also created more problems. I don't know. But the conferences mean nothing. I used to care so much about the Big East tournament before March Madness. I was worried about what was Nova's seed going to be in the Big East tournament. Now I could care less. Same with NFL. College sucks. I'm not a college football fan. At least those guys are forced to play through their junior year before they can go in the draft. So they are built a little differently. You also can't have high school kids trying to play tackle football with the pros. They would just get destroyed far too often. Well, when are locked into a school and they grabbed you to keep you from another team, the transfer portal is great for players who want to start somewhere. Oh, I'm not saying it's totally wrong, the transfer portal, but if it's used the right way, yeah, this is true. I forgot about FIFA. That might be. Let's see, the NCAA, FIFA, and the Olympic Committee. how would I rank that in the maybe FIFA and the Olympic Committee over NCAA just because they're more globally um, corrupt. NCAA is just United States corrupt. I guess that's the way to describe it. Um, most of the times they aren't. What aren't? The transfer portal. Sometimes they are. They ready. High school kids are never ready for professional sports. Let me repeat that. High school kids are never ready for professional sports. And I firmly believe that. Okay. Hell, 1 year of college basketball does not mean you're ready. You might be ready to ball on the court with a 30-year-old guy, but you are not ready to be a professional athlete and all that comes with being a professional athlete. Not just physically speaking on the court, has your body fully developed, etc. Mentally speaking, prepared for the fame and fortune, prepared for the money, prepared for the attention, prepared for the Instagram models to slide into your DM, prepared for it all. And Kai Jones, former first round pick of Charlotte, who was out of basketball this year, signed a 10-day contract like a week ago with the Sixers. He played a few games with the Blue Coats, looked really good. He sat on the bench last night for the Sixers, but he didn't get in. Did an interview with Shams. And I didn't catch the entire interview. I caught some of the clips online. And there was a lot of questions on what happened with Kai Jones. Why was he out of basketball? What was the problem? And it really comes down to it. I really felt bad for the guy. I really did. And I am now a Kai Jones fan. I'm a guy that is hoping for the redemption story, whether it's with the Sixers. I don't even care if it's not with the Sixers. This guy basically, in a nutshell, became overwhelmed being a top 10 NBA draft pick. The money, the fame. He had some deaths in his family. A grandparent died. Didn't know how to handle that. Never had experienced anything like that. He basically just flat out admitted he was too immature and had no idea how to handle the pressures. And he needed the mental break. And that's why he walked away from basketball for a little while there. NBA, the NFL. You don't see it as much in baseball because you spend a lot of time in the minors, a lot of players do that. But you see it in the NBA and the NFL all too often. These young kids, man. And they get way too much dumped on them way too quickly. And I know they have the rookie symposium now, at least in the NFL. I don't know if I'm assuming the NBA has something similar where rookies have to go and it's required to this little conference, if you want to call it, where they're taught about financial advising, where they're taught how to be a pro. But that's not the same. It's almost like, what do you call like the in fraternities when you're pledging a fraternity? You have a older brother or older sister that's got to help you learn how to be part of the fraternity. It's almost like you got to take your rookies and you got to give them a big brother to help them learn how to be a pro, how to learn how to be an adult. And I really felt, I was listening to that Kai Jones. It was like a 2 or 3 minute clip that Shams' Twitter account posted. And I was listening to it. And I really felt bad for the guy. He didn't do anything stupid or bad. But he also realized he had no clue what he was doing, emotionally speaking, how to handle. I'm trying to live up to the hype of being a top 10 NBA draft pick, but I'm also trying to handle the first death in my family. I'm trying to handle all this money in my pocket, all this fame. And I'm just not capable of doing it. And I'm making mistakes. My game is suffering. They need mentors. They do. Not just a 2-day rookie symposium. They need a buddy system. That's why having strong leadership in your locker room is so important. I know. Mitchie Poo hates hearing me say this. Marshawn hates hearing me say this. It's kind of why you don't see these problems with the Sixers. It is one of the good things that Tobias Harris brings is every single year you see him take the rookies and the youngins under his wing. Someone to make sure these guys are being careful with their money. Guys have someone to talk to when the going gets tough. When Tyrese Maxey was benched by Doc Rivers, because Tyrese Maxey's a bench player, according to Doc. Tobias was there to help him. You see it in football. But maybe Ja Morant would have a better NBA career right now if he was, groomed a little bit better and taught how to not be an immature little punk. March Madness not helping the algorithm. I really thought the March Madness would boom the algorithm. Clearly, I was wrong. But we're using March Madness to transition to this Kai Jones conversation, which we will then use to link into the Sixers a little bit today. And we'll see what else comes up on the agenda today. I would love to be a mentor for somebody. I would. I need some people to mentor. Mentor or tormentor? Oh, you think I'm going to torment you instead. What is up, Reality Check? Good morning, greetings, salutations. Hope you are well this morning. Stay away from things like drugs and alcohol. Okay. Yeah, sounds easy, doesn't it? When you're 20, you got $10 million in the bank and you're at the club, what are you going to do? What 20-year-old doesn't make stupid mistakes? You need somebody there to help them, to teach them. Focus on basketball. Sixers talk killing the. You know what? F the algorithm. I'm talking whatever I want and whatever you guys. What do you want to talk about, K1? You don't want to talk about March Madness. We can talk about the Eagles again. Obviously, the Kenny Pickett stuff boomed the algorithm yesterday. It also caused me to get put in the Twitter timeout. Something got me put in the Twitter timeout yesterday. I don't know what. They thought I was a bot or something. I made one political tweet, my once every 6-month political tweet. And then within 2 minutes, I was put in Twitter timeout. Doesn't make any sense. Sixers could literally pay someone a fraction of the cost of what Tobias makes to mentor. Pay Tony Robbins, perhaps. All right, so we're trying to make jokes about a very serious conversation, Marshawn. That's fine. I get it. I love making jokes on serious conversations as well. But the theory behind these kids thrust into this spot, either let them come right out of high school or make them stay 3 years in college, just like the college football does. You see a lot less problems like this in the NFL than the NBA. Algo is the Jake Paul getting knocked out by Mike Tyson. And you didn't ask for we were up against a very, very strict time frame with Michael Huffer. And shout out to my man at Michael_Huffer3. Make sure you shoot him a follow. I put out a tweet yesterday looking for somebody to come on. I had a boatload of recommendations for him to come on. Smart guy. Make sure you check out his Pump Fake podcast as well. 8 likes. Considering the algorithm shot today because I wanted to talk NCAA March Madness for 20 minutes. My bad. We'll just keep talking about the Eagles all day, every day. Phil NFL is greater than ping pong, is greater than college basketball, is greater than the Sixers. Ping pong, eh? Be quite the little ping pong guy. Haven't played much lately, so I don't know. Is he talking basketball, Mitch? You know what? I say, change the topic if you want. That is fine. But if you don't put the topic that you want to talk about in the comment section, you know what? And don't put the UFL in there. That is what it is. I set the agenda. You guys change it. Any NFL take is Gucci. I guess. I don't know what I would be if I had $20 million in the bank. I know who I was at 20 years old. Due to the fake ID going to Walio's. If you know, you know. And if you would have given me $20 million at that point, let me tell you something. I would have been buying Walio's. If you know, you know. It wouldn't have cost $20 million. But if anybody knows what Walio's was, maybe we hung out at some point then. But just think about it. Think of 20-year-old yourself getting, just say, for the number's sake, $20 million dumped in your lap. I definitely wasn't mature enough at 20 years old. Guarantee you. And I didn't have the pressure. My pressure was waking up on time for a class, getting that paper submitted. That was my pressure. Making sure I wasn't late to work. That's it. You didn't say X, formerly known as Twitter. They hate that. I didn't say anything. Anyway, I call it Twitter. I will always call it Twitter. I know. I can't change it. There are 100 companies already called X. Well, whatever. I left during the March Madness talk. I didn't know we're having a serious conversation, my guy. Please, we can have a sarcastic conversation as well. We really can. And you know what? Having the serious conversation and bringing March Madness to an extent back into it. What kind of example are the coaches of the 7 teams that decline their NIT bids setting for the kids on those teams? Some of which are going to try to be professional athletes. Some of which are going to be in the NBA draft. They've just been taught by their coaches, if you don't like the results, just quit. If you don't like what happens to you, it's okay to just quit. To me, that is an awful example of how to teach these young men how to be mature grown men. Maybe if Kai Jones had a little bit more discipline in his life, a mentor in his life, maybe he would have had somebody there for him. I don't know. But it really somehow magically, I just got that all linked back together. That things like, being mature and being grown and learning how to be a grown man. Rick Pitino is teaching his St. John's University kids, nah, we didn't get what we wanted, so deuces, we're out of here. That's not teaching you to be a mature grown man. That's teaching you to be a quitter. He just changed the name to X so people think you're looking up dirty pictures. Yeah, is that what it is? Basketball is my favorite sport. I like the way they dribble up and down the court. I'm glad, Mitchie Poo. I'm glad. Tobias Harris is greater than Mitchie Poo. I'm just going to say it right now. It's the way they throw the ball into the hoop and look so happy. Right. I had a tour mentor as a boss, and I didn't like him because I never understood why he was like that. Then I replaced him when he retired, and a lot of what he taught me resonated. Yeah, there's a lot of people. It's like, we are, it's like you hated your parents and you became your parents. You know what I mean? I there are plenty of bosses I didn't like, plenty that I do like. And I've taken every single good and bad thing that I've learned from a boss to make me who I am today. Someone like Ron Eccles, one of my first boss ever. He was a great boss. Things he taught me, respect and how to handle people. I take that with me every day, everywhere I go. Some of my bad bosses, Rob, Tom, everything that they did, I do the complete opposite of. Some of my great bosses, Susan Wood, John. I forget his name. Anyway, I was thinking about some of the cruise directors I worked for. David Cole. They taught me a lot. I take that with me now. So as you know, I'm not a 76er fan. It's weird, I know, but I commend you guys. These Sixers put y'all through the ringer. They do. And once you think you're out, they go out and beat the Miami Heat last night and pull you right back in. And you see Joel Embiid smiling and walking around the court during timeouts. And all of a sudden, that hook is sunk right back into your cheek. And you're being reeled right back to the surface. Same way Delaware Avenue will always be Del Ave. That is correct. But you got to know Walios if you know Walios. I get that you need mentors, especially in the NBA, where they're phasing out veteran players. Most vets now still want to be young or living through these young players. That's a fair thing. Sometimes the young players put the vets into trouble. I get, sorry. If there's anything the Algo cares less about than the Flyers, it is the NIT. No, I think the NIT they care more about than the Flyers. The Flyers are useless. They are. When do the playoffs start? Have the Flyers fallen out of the playoffs yet? I don't even know. Has the trade deadline come and gone? I don't know. Netscape Navigator is a good browser. What in the world are you talking about? Uh, Al would never have been a good mentor. AI in the sense of doing the right things, but his teammates have never but great things to say about him. Yeah, it's true. Very true. Notice he isn't mentioning Liam. What? Sorry. Do you want me to mention Liam? What's wrong with Liam? Well, I didn't catch his show last night. I have no idea what he has said. Respect is such a small ask, but we don't teach enough of it in the workplace. I mean, you're laughing, but it's serious. I need to hire people at my pizza shop, Fox's Pizza. Always scrolls across the bottom, the address, the phone number. Check it out. Top pizza shop in Kennett Square. Top guys out. I had 18 people apply on Indeed for a job. 4 of them actually showed up for the interview. 2 of them were only remotely hireable. I don't say that in a great way. All right. Respect. Just respect. Don't schedule an interview if you're not going to show up for it. The process Sixers were more fun because we could watch college basketball and wonder who our That's true. Once we weren't getting lottery picks, I did watch a lot less college basketball once the Sixers weren't drafted in the top 3 anymore. Let me tell you something. I watched a lot of Jabari Parker tape back in the day. I watched a lot of Brandon Ingram tape back in the day. Lots and lots of Markelle Fultz tape. I was a huge Markelle Fultz guy. I really was. And I was a big Jabari Parker guy. I really, really was. Mentor young. You want me to mentor young Liam? Well, yeah. Anyway, it's because Liam called it a breakfast. Did he call it the breakfast show again? Like seriously, he doesn't know. He just doesn't know. It's chilly outside, Phil. Bundle up and put your thermos on. It is cold, of course. And I'm babysitting my nephew today. He's a half a day of school, and my brother asked me to pick him up and hang out with him and stuff like that. And every time I have to babysit and help him out and take care of him, it's never nice enough out that me and him can go shoot hoops in the driveway. We're gonna have to sit in the basement and play video games again, which he loves. Anyway, so it's all good. Flyers. Now I need to take a nap. Yeah, exactly. I need to take a nap when Flyers get added to the chat. I asked Chat GPT to tell me what is good for algorithm. It said NFL. Back in my day, we were lazy jerks too, but they would tell us. Now they don't. Yeah, you can't tell anybody they're being lazy because then they'll get offended. It is going to be cold. Yeah, Uncle. It's not Uncle Phil. It's Uncle P. It's very simple. Uncle P, the coolest uncle there is out there. No doubt about it. You know how many of these young professionals I work with say, check your emails. You're supposed to know that. The people they are asking approval from. I should bring in Charles Oakley. Yeah, Charles Oakley. Yeah, there was no problems with leadership there. You didn't want to mess up. But I see, you just think about the type of leadership back in the day to now. Like, I think about the Phillies and that locker room in '93, and you had Darren Dalton and John Kruk and Lenny Dykstra. 3 completely different types of leaders. You had the mentor in Darren Dalton. You had the guy, the kind of in-between guy in John Kruk, and then you had Lenny Dykstra, the guy that would break a baseball bat over your head if you pissed him off. Leading by different ways. Just different times in sports overall. But the Kai Jones thing really it got me. Global warming is here, had winter, spring, summer, and fall all in 1 week. Basically, yeah. I was thinking about wearing shorts the other day. Today, I'm going to have to wear 3 layers. Might be back to 2 socks on each foot. Back when steroids were legal. Ah, yes, good old steroid era. Steroids were never legal. Steroids were just you turn the other cheek to the usage of them. And so you can get a shot in the other cheek, basically. You turn the other cheek was the wrong choice of words there for steroids, for sure. in my opinion. My bad on that, for sure. Um, Charles Oakley slapped Scottie Pippen around. Now Scottie is on an international tour with Luke Longley and Horace Grant to shit on Michael Jordan and The Last Dance. Is he still upset about The Last Dance? Didn't The Last Dance come out like 27 years ago, it feels like now? And he's still bitter? Yeah. Dykstra turned both cheeks, for sure. Poor Dykstra. Didn't he have a stroke or something like that recently? Something like that. Something like that. I think he had a stroke or a heart attack or something minor stuff. But, the dude, Lenny Dykstra, one of my favorite and one of my least favorite. I don't know if I've ever told this story on the air, but Lenny Dykstra, when I was a kid, I was in high school. I was a freshman in high school, very shy, introverted person. I went to Devon Prep out in the main line out by Valley Forge and King of Prussia area. My uncle worked at the post office there in Devon. He picked me up one afternoon after school because I had to stay late. And before he drove, he was like, let's stop and grab something to eat. So he stopped at some restaurant on the main line. Me, my uncle, and Lenny Dykstra. The only three people in the restaurant. It was a rainy fall day. Like, hey, uncle, that's Lenny Dykstra. Can I get his autograph? My uncle's like, wait, he's eating. Wait till he's done, and then we'll go over and ask him for an interview or for an autograph. Okay. We watch Lenny Dykstra sign for his check. I get nervous. My uncle goes to him and says, hey, my nephew's a huge fan. Would you be able to sign something for him and let him come over? And Lenny Dykstra told my uncle, and I quote, for $50, sure. My uncle wanted to throw down with him, got pissed, never got the autograph. He could have just signed a napkin. I would have been happy. Nothing. So Lenny Dykstra became public enemy number one to me. But on the flip side, he was still Lenny Dykstra, and I still loved him. It was a really weird relationship I had with Lenny Dykstra, but he definitely turned both cheeks. And he turned his face to me. Phil, they're on tour, and people want to listen. Insane. And Horace wasn't even on the team for the second three-peat. You're kidding. There's literally a tour going on. Like, are they literally traveling around? Because I really don't think The Last Dance was that. Like, they've been making a big deal about it. I don't think it was that bad. I don't think it really made him look that awful. I don't know. I guarantee the reason why Pippen and Jordan's kids who were engaged to be married, I guarantee that that engagement was broken off, which it was broken off after like a year engagement, like couple weeks ago. It was because of their dads. It wasn't because of the relationship not working out. It was because of who their fathers were. Guarantee that had something to do with it. Scram, kid, beat it. Basically, is what Lenny Dykstra told me. Oh, those ball signing tours are how ex players make money off the books. So they're on a ball sign. So they're going around the world, signing autographs, taking pictures, kissing babies, shaking hands, turning cheeks. I don't know. Crazy. Like, I've never been one to go to like autograph signings and stuff like that. I don't collect memorabilia and autograph memorabilia. I don't want to get jerseys signed or hats signed. Like, I don't. I mean, I do have a Tommy Green signed baseball card sitting here, but it's just more of a reminder of an awesome night out that my friend hosted at his bar back about like 5 years ago. That's the only reason why I have it there. Plus, I have nowhere else to put it. I don't get the going on a tour and paying big money to meet Luke Longley and Horace Grant. Just doesn't make any sense to me. Will Tobias Harris be going on a basketball tour 20 years from now, complaining about the process, complaining about his time in Philly, complaining about Joel when the process documentary comes out 20 years from now, and it's all centered around Joel Embiid? Will Tobias Harris be going on a tour, signing autographs, talking bad about JoJo? I don't think so. I don't think Tobias Harris is that kind of player, but it is what it is. All right, guys, you're watching Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live on all platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Hit that like button. Hit that share button. Hit that subscribe and retweet button. Follow button. Wherever you're watching, hit those buttons, please. I would greatly appreciate it. I'm sure not enough people have liked this video, but let's keep the likes going. Let's keep the conversation going. March Madness, if you want to talk about it. Teams not playing in the NIT because they don't want to. Kai Jones, the Sixers. We're going to start talking about last night's game a little bit. Anything else you want to talk about? Zack Wheeler, opening day Phillies starter, still on the table. Howie Roseman, cap genius, still on the table. Jersey numbers released for some of the new Philadelphia Eagles signings. I hate it. I hate how excited people are just waiting on the edge of their seats. Hey, even Philadelphia Sports Network, PhillySportsNetwork.com had an article releasing the number information. People get so worked up about jersey numbers, and I could care less. But it's all on the table. You're watching it. I am Phil Stiefel, your host. We got 30 minutes left in the show today. I would pay to watch the process documentary. Oh, I will. I very rarely do I watch something the day it comes out. The minute it comes out, I will take a day off from work to binge watch the entire documentary. There is no doubt it. I cannot wait for the process documentary. Cannot wait. The Scottie Pippen role would be played by Ben Simmons, not Tobias Harris. Basically, exactly. Just to see everyone trash Ben Simmons. Although, there's a little thing that's always irked me. They will either have an episode of it dedicated to Ben Simmons' perspective, or there'll be a secondary documentary, okay? And this brings up a different random off-the-wall topic, and since the algorithm is dead, we'll just bring a random topic in. I remember watching the Manti Te'o Netflix documentary on his catfishing, when he got catfished or whatever it's called. And they tried so hard to get the guy, girl, whatever you want to call him or her, that catfished him, that caused all the drama, that caused the biggest distraction that could have ruined his career, which did potentially ruin his reputation. And they tried in some of the episodes to make her look like the victim or a good person or whatever you want to call it. There will be an episode of the process documentary series, whatever it's made, dedicated to make Ben Simmons look good. Or there'll be a secondary documentary from Ben Simmons' perspective to make him look good. Guarantee you. And it's going to be nauseating to watch. Just like it was nauseating to watch the Manti Te'o documentary at the end of it when they give him his piece to say her thing, and, you just ruined the dude's life. That Manti Te'o thing, I remember when they talked to Manti Te'o's dad about it in the documentary, and you could just see in that Hawaiian Samoan culture the disappointment in his son. Not that his son got scammed, but in his son for falling for the scam. Ruined it. Not just his football career, but his life. That'll be the Ben Simmons documentary, for sure, without a doubt. What is up, Chucky? I saw your message late yesterday. Good to be back. Phil, Larry Bowe ignored my uncle on an elevator in Florida during spring training in the 70s. They got pissed and dressed him down in front of his wife. Wow, I've never heard. That was during his playing days. He was younger, probably a little bit more immature than he is now. Because everything now you hear about Larry Bowe is he's a fantastic person. Complete opposite. I was in Clearwater, Chuck, a few years back, Clearwater Beach, and I was just walking. We were bar hopping, restaurant hopping up and down the main drag there, and I was wearing an Eagles shirt. And from behind, I hear somebody shout, "Go Birds!" So typical me, turn around to high five whoever it is, and it was Larry Anderson. Larry Anderson was just out on a casual jog through the streets of Clearwater Beach and saw an Eagles fan, and once he stood in that street and talked to me for 5 minutes. He stopped me to talk to me. So yeah, Larry Bowe, maybe he was a punk when he was a kid in the 70s, but now probably not. You gotta let Ben go, bro. It's been 2 years. He's gone. We will always hold a bitter spot in our chest for him. I don't know who is going to be revered and hated more 20 years from now. Ben Simmons or Carson Wentz? Two big drama-filled eras in Philadelphia sports. Pretty much around the same time. as well. I think Ben Simmons will go down as hated more because at least Carson Wentz's one season did help lead us to a Super Bowl victory, our only Super Bowl at this point. Ben Simmons never led us to anything. So at least Carson Wentz at some point will get a pass. There will come a time when Carson Wentz is loved. I have my Carson Wentz jersey still buried somewhere because I know someday I will be able to rock it with pride again. But the Ben Simmons jersey I got somewhere, that'll never get worn. I won't even wear it to bed. I'll have nightmares. Never. Exactly. Never getting over it. Never, never, ever. Jim Kelly, nicest guy around. When he was in his 20s, he didn't like dumb kids. Yeah, and it's part of being a pro. You got to know. You got to take care of the kids. You got to be good to kids. You got to sign those autographs. You got to shake hands, take pictures. In this day and age with social media and stuff, it's different than it was when we were kids. But yeah, it's still there. But also, kids got to got to be taught by their parents to respect athletes' personal space and personal time. Hence, what my uncle was trying to do with me and Lenny Dykstra. Just wait till he's done, and then catch him for 30 seconds after his meal. Yeah, exactly. Wentz at least did something. His crash and burn was a quicker crash and burn than Ben Simmons. But at least his pre-crash and burn, we don't win the Super Bowl without him. We don't get to the Super Bowl without that MVP season. Part of maturing appreciation of people. Absolutely. Wentz for sure. The Eagles, only Philly people forgive basketball, but football players and never. No, I think Carson Wentz will be forgiven. What was that, the 2017 season? When's the first time they're going to do a reunion? 20 years? 2037? 2042 for the 25-year anniversary? Will they do a 10-year anniversary in 2027? Maybe. Depends on if Lane Johnson's retired by then. When they do the first reunion at Lincoln Financial Field for the 2017 team, Carson Wentz will be there, and he will get a cheer. He will. Because we're going to remember fondly the fact that we don't win a Super Bowl without Carson Wentz carrying this team for the first 13 weeks of that year. How did Lenny go bankrupt after $59 million? No wonder he was a grump. Yeah, I don't know. Too soon? I don't know. There's a lot of plane issues going on right now. K1, I don't know if I'm making plane crashing comments at this point. Maybe a light chair. He'll get a golf clap. He will. It won't be boo if Carson Wentz showed up at Lincoln Financial Field. No way. Wentzadelphia was a thing. It was. Hashtag Wentz is elite. After every tweet I made. All the time. Manti Te'o, Matt Ariza, probably other examples of athletes ruined off the field. Why is the NFL colluding against a great punter? I think he signed somewhere actually. This free agency period. I don't quote me on that. I want to say he signed somewhere. I'm not sure where though. But I'm pretty sure he got a contract from a team, Chuck. In 20 years, Foles will be there, not Wentz. In 20 years, Foles and Wentz will be standing side by side on the field at Lincoln Financial Field, holding the trophy up together, and they're going to hug it out. Mark my words. Clip this for 20 years. If you can save this clip 20 years from now and show how wrong I was, I guess, I don't know. But there will be a reunion in 20 years, and Wency Boy will be there. Mark my words. At least the isn't a H reference, evilest guy in history. Fans doing the skull chant, yelling Foles will be, yeah, Foles, Foles, Foles. I hate the skull chant. I don't know. The skull chant I don't hate as much as the tomahawk chop, which everyone's got to stop doing that kind of stuff and changing their team names, the Indians, to the Guardians, the Commanders from the Redskins. But the Chiefs are still out there doing it, and the Braves. I don't get it. That kills the algo. Yeah, it does. It does. Um, 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 Foles. It's actually only 14 years now, so it's coming. 2017. Yeah, 2030 or 2017, so it'd be 2037. I'll be old. We'll just leave it at that. I'll be old at that point. I'll be really old at that point. There's a damn strong chance trending the AM will be long forgotten about by 2037. There is a full statue. Um, Josh Sweat redid his deal. Hassan Reddick, they changed his bonus to give them another couple weeks to try to trade him. The defensive end edge situation with the Eagles has not improved or changed or dropped. It's still in flux and limbo. Teams are 0-2 in the NFC chip game when they mess with the Rocky statue. What is it with sports teams and opposing cities that think that karma ain't going to bite them in the ass when they come and mess with the Rocky statue? Now, for one, I am in an extreme minority that I'm over the Rocky situation. Like, I don't need Rocky's music played at every sporting event. I don't need Rocky on the big screen at every Philadelphia sporting event. I'm over it. I don't need Sly Stallone showing up at big events anymore in Philly. It's so old to me and so over. It's probably the most overdone thing in Philadelphia sports right now. So far over it. Okay, it needs to go away. Unpopular opinion, but it is. But I do believe in karma. And teams coming and messing with the Rocky statue. Have they not learned that it's not going to go your way if you do that? Like, why would you do that? Karma's a bitch. Me, I'm 36. Yeah, I'm 43. I got almost a decade on you, but yeah. Liam will sell the rights to trade the hand to some bimbo from Wolverhampton. It's my show. Okay, nobody owns the rights but me. Make it happen in 2027. Many of us too old to wait. Yeah, do the reunion in 27. Lane Johnson will retire after the 2026 year, maybe, and then they can have the reunion, the 10-year reunion, 2027. I don't know if Carson will be back by 27, 2037, 2042, the 25-year, maybe. Maybe he's back for those. Maybe. Does Carson Wentz go in the Eagles Ring of Honor or Wall of Fame or whatever the hell they call it? It is crucial to the history of the Eagles. Peeps wanted to know why I was watching Eagles games. I said they have no pass rush. That doesn't. Yeah, 43. No way. Huh? Thought you were my age. Now, no. I am. I know I look damn good for my age. I do, but I am 43, and the trimmed up beard makes me look younger and more mature than I actually am. I'm very old and very immature, plain and simple. My wife would vouch for that 1,000%. But it is what it is. Guys, we got 15 minutes left in the show. I do want to touch on the Sixers a little bit. I know you guys don't really care, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. Last night, a big victory over the Miami Heat, 98-91, before they get set to go on a very long West Coast trip with some really tough games in it. It was a must win, and they pulled it out. My secret, um, I can't say all the words on the air, but my secret to looking this good, I don't give a bleepity bleep. That is actually my life philosophy. I don't care. Nothing upsets me. I don't get too high and I don't get too low. I just fly by the seat of my pants. I roll with the punches as they come. Take one day at a time. Every cliche saying you ever had is basically what I do. I breathe in, I breathe out, I move on. Things fire me up, but then 2 seconds later, I'm over it. That's my secret. And alcohol and weed, but that's another whole subject. Gotta get some lessons from you, Phil. The pizza, I do eat a lot of pizza. That does help. That'll probably end my life sooner than I want it to. older because he can be grumpy. I am a curmudgeon sometimes. Sure. Calling the Rocky statue Brocky is un-American. Yeah, exactly. 100%. You got to know. Like for me, I'm over Rocky as a motivational tactic, but it's still our history. It's fictional history, but it's still part of us. It's part of what makes Philadelphia so great. And Rocky isn't just a famous movie from Philadelphia. It's one of the most famous movies there are, period. Period. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's the algo. If Phil talks Sixers, you know what? Wrong, because we talk a lot of Sixers on this show, and we do very well with Sixers talk on this show. So you're wrong, TMC. Wrong. But breathe in, breathe out, and move on. See? It's very simple. Phil so cringed out by Rock. I really am. Like when I'm watching a sporting event on TV or I'm in a sporting event in person and you see, the screen, just win, Rocky, just win. Or get up, you son of a bitch, because Mickey loves you. They play it and the crowd goes wild. Dude, if you need a 50-year-old movie to fire you up at a sporting event in a crucial moment, you're wrong. How good is Tyrese Maxey? This kid continues to evolve his game. There was one mid-range jumper last night. It was right around the free throw line. It was somewhere in the third or fourth quarter, Marshawn. It was just an inconsequential 2 points in the game. But it was, and when you watch it in quick motion, to the casual fan, it was just a basic jumper at the free throw line. But he actually contorted his body when he jumped up, and he was kind of fading away to his right. Like if you watch it in slow motion, or if you have a keen eye, you can tell how tough of a jump shot it was, and it was just pure. And it was just money. Tyrese Maxey is going to be one of the 5 faces of the NBA in a few years. With that smile, with that personality, with that skill set, and he is still only 23 and still developing, he hasn't even come close to reaching what his peak can be. And I know I've been off on the Sixers, and I'm over the Sixers, and I keep talking negatively. If Tyrese Maxey plays like he does last night over the next 2 weeks, and if Joel Embiid comes back, I'm right back in. The question is, should Joel Embiid come back, and will Joel Embiid come back? Rumors are he's going to try. That he's getting closer. He's on the court. Non-contact form, but he's on the court. There's a chance in 2 weeks. We've got just such a difficult stretch of games coming up, Marshawn, that the Sixers really got to just let me pull their schedule up real quick. It starts the 20th, which is tomorrow night. The 20th, tomorrow night in Phoenix. Then you go to the Lakers. Then you go to the Clippers. Then you go to Sacramento. And then the Clippers again. Then the Cavaliers. And then you get an easy game against the Raptors. And then the Thunder. Then the Heat again. There is a brutal stretch coming. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. There's a chance they go 2-6 in those 8 games. And that's not good. If they can go 3-5 or 4-4 over those next 8 games, and Joel comes back, give him a couple days to get integrated with these new players, there's a real chance that they make noise. Because let's be honest, the Eastern Conference, it's stacked, but is it? It's Boston, and then everybody else is very average. The Bucks have holes. The Cavs, I don't buy. The Knicks, I don't buy. Magic aren't ready for a playoff run. The Pacers will always scare me because of Tyrese Halliburton, but that's it. Goosebump, embarrassed, lever, cringe. What? If Brock had a little rocket in him, he would have won the Super Bowl. See what I did? I see what you did there. I see what you did there. The Kurt Angle theme to where everyone chants "You suck, you suck" in between the beats. A triumph of the human spirit makes Rocky more than a Philly icon. Respecting statues is vital. I agree. In this day and age, you get away with it too. Like there's no respect. I don't know. Goldberg's theme song always gave me goosebumps. I guess. Tyrese is really what we thought we were getting from Markelle. It's a fantastic comment, Marshawn. It really is. I was all in on Markelle Fultz, especially after his first rookie league game. Dude, I thought we got the missing piece of the puzzle with Markelle Fultz. I wanted him really bad in that draft. I remember saying multiple times I wanted nothing to do with Ball, and I kind of had a feeling that Jason Tatum was going to be a really good player. But man, I thought Markelle Fultz was going to be something special. I really did. I was really wrong on that. I'm not afraid to admit it. I was wrong. Shut and beat down. Easy call. Is it? Is it that easy of a call? Joel Embiid just celebrated his 30th birthday the other day. Can you believe that Joel Embiid is already 30? What's he got left? If you've got a chance to get him back and get him healthy for the playoffs, you got to take that chance, right? Why wouldn't you take that chance? How important is it to avoid the playing games? The only thing that you really got to worry about, Chuck, is not if you're in the playing games, you got to win that 7 seed because the 8 seed's got to go up against the Boston Celtics in the first round, and Joel Embiid will just be back from his injury. I don't want to face the Bucks in round 1. That's all. The play-in series, I've come to grips that there's a good chance that that's where we're doing. We get to the 6th seed, which we are right now, face the Cavs in the first round, we can win that series. Then you can avoid the Boston Celtics to the conference finals, I guess, technically speaking, because then you would face the Bucks and whoever the 7th seed is winner in the second round in the semis. I guess that would be a better chance. But you want to avoid the 8th seed no matter what. You want the 7 or 6 at least to give you one round of more games to kind of get Joel Embiid back into the flow to see how healthy he is. He won't be healthy, and even if he is, this team isn't good enough. This team was built to be good enough around him, not without him. And that's the problem. And that's what Daryl Morey is going to have to figure out next year, how to build this team perfectly around Joel Embiid, but not if, but when Joel goes down, that this team can thrive without him. Tyrese just looks unafraid out there. Talk about, I absolutely agree. Tyrese Maxey's a special kid. He is. Juventud Guerrero. The juice is loot. Well, oh no. Do you smell what the juice is cooking? Wasn't that his thing? Val Venus had the best theme. Hello, ladies. See, I could go there. Have fully healthy and rest Embiid for 25. It's a no-brainer. You know, and K1, I'm disagreeing with you today on this, but I get the theory and I get the thought process. They would not put him out there if he had an opportunity to risk further injuring the injury. It's either he's healthy or he's not. And if he's healthy, you put him out there. You capitalize when you can. But I get it. And you save him for 25, and then a freak accident happens, someone falls on his leg, and he's out. Because again, let's remember this year's injury. He's missing time, not because of one thing or another, because someone fell on him. I forget the cat's name that fell on him, though. Phil's Tesla may be self-driving, but you have to look out. I don't have a Tesla. I would never drive a Tesla. And I would never let a Tesla drive me. I was in an Uber a couple months back, and the Uber driver, it was a Tesla, and the Uber driver looked in the back and said, "Would you guys mind if I let the car drive itself?" I'm like, no. There's no way I'm approving you to hit a button and let the car drive. It was a rainy night on a highway. I'm like, not happening. I ain't trusting a car. I want control of the wheel. Hello, ladies. Smitty is built similarly too. He's such a big stage, big moment player. That hurts Smitty connection is so vital for the Eagles, especially in my absolutely. I always worried about Smitty's size, injury wise. I always worried about Maxey injury wise because of his size. But they play bigger than their frames, and they protect themselves very well. Unfortunately, Maxey had the concussion this year, missed a week of games or whatever. But it is what it is. But for the most part, Smitty and Maxey protect their smaller frames so well. I mean, you would think somebody with the size of Devontae Smith taking hits all the time would break down quickly, but he protects himself well. There's an art to protecting your body. It's an art that Joel Embiid has not mastered, but it's also different when you're 7'2", 285 pounds. Tip the driver less for even asking car to drive. I know, exactly. It's like the time that I got into an Uber. I wasn't even in. I had one leg still out on the ground, and the Uber driver started taking off, and my leg was dragging along the road. And my father-in-law tipped the guy extra. I was like, what the hell are you doing here? What's up with that? Sure, if you don't mind me paying computer. No, stop. Smitty only missed one game in his career thus far. Exactly. He protects himself so well. Plays bigger than his frame, bigger than his body. It is what it is. Anyway, got to start the wrap-up process. March Madness is here, guys. There's the playing games are tonight. I still call the NCAA tournament's first round that starts on Thursday. Some people call tonight and tomorrow's playing games round one. I don't. Round one starts Thursday to me. It looks like I'm listening to our friend Michael Huffer at Michael Huffer _Huffer3, our guest this morning earlier on the show. Go back and check it out. He says Auburn plus 1,700 is the best value on the betting board to win the NCAA tournament. So guess what? I'm going Auburn plus 1,700. Smitty contract extension needs to get done. It will get done, Chuck. But it's not the top priority. It will get done by or during training camp. They still got to figure out the draft picks. They still got to figure out their Hassan Reddick extension or trade. They still got to figure out what to do with Josh Sweat, with James Bradbury, with Darius. They still have a lot more pressing issues, okay? That Patrick Surtain trade that I'm going to ask and mention every single day from now till I manifest it into existence. They're the priorities. Devontae Smith being a first rounder, being where he's drafted, he still has that 5th-year option that they still. So he's under contract next year. Then they got he's still technically under contract for 2 years. You want to give him the money. You want to make him happy. You want to beat the curve and get him locked up now before waiting and the price goes up even more. I get all that. That's why it'll happen before this season starts. But it's not the next thing that gets done in my mind. Some resolution from Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat and their ends will be the next shoe to drop, in my opinion. Yeah, I think it's a stupid decision by the NFL to make the Browns the Eagles' opponent. You got the Deshaun Watson name front and center there. Not good for the Shield. The Browns-Eagles don't have a heated rivalry. I think it was a misstep by the NFL, in my opinion. It is what it is, though. We'll have a nice challenge week one. We'll get a really good idea of our offense week one against a great. What were the Browns 1 or 2? They were one of the best defenses in football last year. I would expect it to be the same this year. A big mistake by the NFL. You either needed a big rival, another big name team with a big player on it, or another huge offense, so you can have a 42-37 shootout. That's what the NFL wants. That's what sells to the casuals. And in these other cities, that's what you needed in Brazil. Brazil! That's what you needed. But you give us the Browns and Eagles instead. Phil will shave his head if we sign. You want me to shave it completely? I do actually look pretty good with a bald head. I used to pick my head. I will 100% pick my head if we trade for and extend Patrick Surtain. Mark it down right here. Maybe I'll even make my wife come in and do it live on the air. Okay? I will shave my head if Patrick Surtain is an Eagle before week one of the NFL season. Literally zero doubt. Facing old Jim Schwartz, huh? I mean, is he still the DC there? I mean, that's the biggest storyline of the game then, if that's the case, Dave. Like, that's how weak it is. Like, there's no storyline. They're going to Brazil for the first time. You need storylines. You need stars. There's stars on the Eagles. There aren't many stars on the Cleveland Browns. And their biggest star, Deshaun Watson, is a scumbag. Is Ayuk not getting extended? Brandon Ayuk will probably be traded by the 49ers before the season starts. Maybe by draft night, for sure. Yeah, she will do it. If you tip her $500, she'll do it right now, even without Patrick Surtain. I'm just going to tell you. She'll say $500, put that in my account, and that hair is gone. No doubt about it. It'll be a very tough first game. Very tough opponent for the Eagles week 1. I just don't agree with the choice. That's it. I'm here for all this Niners, Ayuk, Debo drama. I love it. We'll get more focused on the Eagles again tomorrow. I got an interesting topic to start with tomorrow. We'll talk more Sixers. We'll see if Justin Crosby is free for tomorrow's conversation or not. But we will continue on this trend, guys. This is the end of the show today. For $1,000 super chat, we will even get a. Yeah, for $1,000, she can do it exactly. Everything has a price, K1. As I say, everybody has a price for everything, my man. For sure. Yeah, that's right. Peace out. A-Town down. Not on the WrestleMania card yet, I don't think. Whatever, though. Guys, we're wrapping it up right here. Trending in the AM. Shout out Michael Huffer at Michael_Huffer3, our guest today for our March Madness conversation. We'll be back tomorrow, 8 a.m., another jam-packed episode. We will see you guys tomorrow. And as always, go Birds.